So now we're on to the big guy, tuning your bass drum. This is a little bit of a different animal when it comes to getting a good sound out of a bass drum. And right away you can notice a major difference in this resonant head or front head. And see this hole in here. It's very important. It doesn't mean you got ripped off and your bass drum head's broke. What this does is allows the sound, but most of all the air to get out. A good bass sound and a good bass drum sound is about pushing air. So this is going to allow that air to come out of the drum from the batter head over here. So let's get this guy in tune. On the kick drum, we're going to use the same method of tuning, but right away you're going to notice we have a wood hoop as opposed to a metal hoop, and a little bit different way of getting these lugs on. So we have these claws here. So we've got the head already all seated and comfortable and somewhat in a comfortable range tuning-wise, but I'll show you how to get these on. All you got to do, hook the claw over this wooden hoop. It's going to put you right in the lug. So again, finger tighten, and once you're there, take your drum key. I'm going to put it at a comfortable tension right now for us to start tuning. So if you're putting the drum head on your kick drum, that's how you do it. Be careful when you're taking your hoops off and put them in a soft spot so they don't get scratched, and take your towel, do your maintenance, all that good stuff. So let's tune this dude up. This head is going to sound a little bit different because there's a hole in it. So it can be a little bit difficult to tune, and the only way you're really going to get this one is through practice. So remember, the looser the head is, the more resonant it's going to be. The tighter it is, the tighter the sound. So I want a little bit of resonance out of this kick drum, so I'm going to tune it down. I'm going to see how loose I can get this before it goes completely slack and shows a whole bunch of wrinkles on the resonant side. So it's pretty close. See, it's becoming a little bit harder to hear on these big drums, so you have to listen really well. Close. Ooh, that one's a lot higher. So, going across. Again, notice this. Starting to sound floppy. So my treble spot is always over here, pretty close to the hole. So the cool part about a bass drum though, it's a little bit more forgiving than say a tom would be. So if you can get it pretty close in the ballpark, you're doing good. So let's move on to the batter side. I tend to favor a clear head, but you can also use a coated. And then this head has a little bit of muffling already built in. This Aquarian, this is a Super Kick 1, really great head. And so it's already going to have quite a bit of punch. So when you're tuning up, you're going to hear it muffled, just a little bit. Now, the thing with this head, at least when we're talking about tuning for like a pop or a rock and roll type sound, is it needs to be a little bit slack. So that way when the beater on the bass drum pedal hits it, it's really pushing that air out the front head. So we can tune this down quite a bit. So I'm actually going to detune this up a little bit, and I'm going to try to get it to the point to where it's just above wrinkled. And even I don't mind if I see a few wrinkles in my bass drum batter head. So let's go for that. Because right now we're tuned up pretty high. So loosening this dude up. It doesn't take much. You're not going to be doing too many turns on these lugs. Because right now you're going to hear a really dead floppy sound. Sometimes when I'm tuning the bass drum, just so I don't have to always put the pedal on, I just use like a timpani mallet. You know, you can get you know, any sort of soft mallet to hit the head. I wouldn't use a drumstick. It's too abrasive. You know, use something with the felt head. So see how that already sounds very much like a bass drum from the get-go. So I just want to incorporate a little bit more tone into it. So I'm going to go around. I'm looking for wrinkles. Because I do care about pitch, but I really care about air. It's the one thing that we can do as drummers that a lot of instruments can't do, is push air. If you notice on all your drums, there's a little vent. That's not just to get sound out, it's to get all the air out. And that's what really gives it a cool, big sound. All right, that guy's a little bit too loose, because if it's too loose, you're gonna hear the floppiness in the head once you start playing. So very difficult to hear, but even just feeling around, still a little loose. Last time I tuned from there. Let's see if we can go the opposite side. All right, let's see if that works. Let's give it a go. Remember, trial and error. The other thing that I do in the convenience of the whole is for another two big things. One, I usually like to put a little bit of muffling inside the drum. I've got a specialty bass drum muffler in here right now, but sometimes that could mean just throwing a small towel in, or maybe two towels to, one to lean lightly against the resonant head and one lightly against the batter. And since it's two towels, you can always move the muffling around. I don't recommend ever throwing a pillow in there or too much of your laundry, because that's going to take a lot of the character out of the drum, and at that point you might as well just be hitting a cardboard box. So just enough to control over ringing and get that punchiness you want out of your kick drum. So move the muffler in there just so it's lightly on the head, and let's see what kind of sound we're getting. Ooh, that's a little too muffled. Pull the muffler back. All right, we're in motion here, and I can actually feel the air coming out. And if I'm looking at the head, I could see it vibrating, and that's what I'm looking for. I just want to know both heads are in action, and that I'm going to be pushing out a lot of attack, and so I can lock up with that bottom end in whatever song I happen to be playing. So those are some techniques you can use to fine tune and get your bass drum slamming and get a little bit of thump to your drum set.